OpenProject is the leading open source project management software. OpenProject supports both traditional and agile project management. Let's take a look at how we can get started working with OpenProject. When you sign into your OpenProject environment, you're first going to see the landing page. The landing page includes information such as the welcome text, as well as an overview of the different projects. On the top left side, you can select the different projects in OpenProject, while on the right side you have a search bar where you can search, for example, for work packages, for the individual tasks, or for example for wiki pages and other project information. Right next to it, you have the modules view, which provides an overview of, for example, work packages across all different projects. If you have any questions about OpenProject, you can always refer to the help menu and, for example, access the user guide. Each user in OpenProject has their own user account. By clicking on the user avatar on the top right side, you can access the My page or your account settings. If you're an admin in OpenProject, you can also access the administration. Initially, it typically makes sense to take a look at the My page. The My page is basically your dashboard page, which provides an overview of all your different tasks and widgets. By default, you can see that we have a list of tasks assigned to us across all the different projects, as well as an overview of the tasks which we created. We can customize this page by clicking on the button on the top right side and then simply clicking on one of the plus icons. You have a number of different widgets which you can add. For instance, we can add a calendar widget, which is displayed here on top. You can always resize any of the widgets or drag and drop them to a different location. Once we are satisfied customizing the My page, we can click on the plus button again to save our changes. Now in the future, when we want to get an overview of our projects as well as of the most important information, we would simply switch over to the My page and see the information displayed here. Next to the My page, you have your account settings. In your account settings, you can of course choose your first name and last name, but you can also select your preferred language as well as activate your email notification settings. By default, you will be notified by OpenProject whenever any of the tasks that you're working on has been changed. But if you would like to get a better overview of all the changes in all your projects, for example, if you're a project admin, you could change this, for example, to be notified about any changes in all of your projects or to be notified if changes occur in selected projects. To get started working with OpenProject, we can select our project menu on the top left side and either navigate to one of the existing projects or alternatively, we can create a new project. To create a new project, we can simply select this option here and then provide the name of our project. Let's say, for example, we want to create a new website. All we need to do is to enter the name in here and click on Create. If you'd like to set any additional settings, for example, if the project we create should be a sub-project of an existing project, then you can expand the advanced settings here and simply select any of the other projects. It's also possible to enter a short description here. For example, you may want to enter the objective of the project that we're working on. Finally, you can also choose if a project should be public or if it should be private, which is the default setting. Public projects can be accessed by all users, even if they have not been added as a member to the project. Private projects, however, can only be accessed by users who have been actively invited to join and to collaborate in the project. Once we click on Create, the project is created and we can see the project name displayed on the top left side. From here, we can very easily switch to any of the other projects and we always can see which project we are currently in. Once we create a project, we are automatically forwarded to the Work Packages page. The Work Packages page allows us to define the different phases, milestones, and the individual tasks in our project. But before we do that, let's take one step back And let's take a look at the side menu here on the left side of our project. Initially, we can head over to the project settings to make any adjustments to our project. For instance, we could adjust the name of our project and also adjust its hierarchy. So for instance, if it turns out that our project should be a sub-project after all, we could simply set the parent project in here. Next, we can head over to the module section and define which kind of modules, meaning which kind of features we want to use in our project. And here you would also determine if you would rather work in a more traditional or in an agile way. If you prefer to work in an agile way, you can, of course, activate work package tracking as well as time tracking, but you can, for instance, also activate budgets as well as cost reports. Once activated, we can simply click on Save. And if you take a look on the left side, we can now see that the entries have been added to the side menu. As the project admin or the creator of the project, you can always make changes to the modules and thereby change the scope of your project. New users who are going to join our project will first see the overview page. The overview page includes any relevant information for our project. For example, we can see the project description, which we said before, but we can also customize this page. Similarly to the My page, you can click on the plus button on the top right side and then click on any of the plus icons to add a widget. And similarly to the My page, we could, for instance, add the calendar view. This calendar view will give us an overview of all the different tasks in the current project. The overview page is visible to all members of the project, and whenever a new member joins our project, they will initially see the overview page to be informed about the current status of the project. Speaking of the project status, you can always adjust the status if you are the project admin, the project leader. To do that, simply select one of the options here and optionally provide a short description. Now currently we are the only users, the only members of the project. To change that, we can head over to the member section and either add a single user to our project or add an entire team to our project. To do that, you can simply enter the name of a user or select a group from the drop-down menu. Both the user as well as the group can be created in the OpenProject administration. When we add a user or group to our project, we also determine which kind of permissions those people should have in the project. And we can do that by selecting a role. By default, there are 3 different roles in OpenProject. The member role, which allows a user to actively work and collaborate in the project. The reader role, which allows users to only see information in the project, which is useful, for example, for customers or suppliers. And the project admin role, which allows users to also make changes to the project itself, for example, to adjust the modules and also to invite additional users to the project. As soon as we add the users to the project, they in turn can sign into OpenProject and navigate to that project to collaborate with us. Now that we set up our project and invited users to collaborate with us, we can head back to the Work Packages page to start creating our project plan. From the Work Packages page, you can either click on the link at the bottom to create a new work package, or alternatively, you can click on the green button to select any of the different types that you would like to create in OpenProject. The quickest way, however, would be to click on the link at the bottom. Let's say when we want to create our new website, we want to start out by creating a prototype. We simply enter the name and press enter to create this task. We can continue by creating the following tasks. Let's say, for example, we want to implement our website next. And finally, of course, we want to publish our website. As you can see on the left side, all the different tasks or work packages which we just created have the default type, which is task in this case. Typically, however, we would adjust the type and initially specify the main phases as well as the main milestones that we want to work with. To do that, we can simply click on any of the types here and select the appropriate option. The creation of a prototype would certainly be a phase, similarly to the implementation of the website. Now, publishing the website is probably a fixed point in time, and therefore we are going to change it to a milestone. Now we can see rather quickly that the implementation of the website is a pretty big task to work on, and therefore we can break it down into individual subtasks. And the easiest way to do that is to simply hover over this work package here, hover over this phase, and on the right side you can see 3 dots. If you click on those, you can select Create New Child from the drop-down menu to create a new subtask. Let's say, for instance, that we want to start out by creating the design for our website. We simply enter the name, make sure the task is selected, and click on Save. We can repeat the same steps to create a second subtask. Let's say we want to continue with the technical implementation. Now, as we create those different subtasks, you can see they are displayed just below the phase, and you can always collapse or expand the different subtasks. Once we created our project structure, we can then continue by switching from the table view over to the Gantt view. The Gantt view displays a Gantt chart on the right side, and you can simply hover over the Gantt chart to schedule the start and finish date of the different phases, tasks, and milestones. To do that, simply click on the Gantt chart and then just basically draw the start and finish date with your mouse. Once you let go, the start and finish date is scheduled and set for that particular phase. Now, if you have a main phase or main work package with separate subtasks, you typically schedule the different subtasks. So let's say, for example, I want to schedule the creation of the design. Once I do that, the start and finish date of the phase is scheduled as well. And once we also schedule the technical implementation, the start and finish date of the parent phase will be updated to include both subtasks. Especially if you have a long-running project, you may prefer to not actually draw the start and finish date into the Gantt chart, but instead to pick a specific date from a date picker. And to do that, you can simply click on the gear icon on the right side of the table view to add a column to our work package list. And from the menu here, we would simply select the start date column as well as the finish date column and click on Apply. Now both those columns have been added to our view, and we can now simply select a date from the date picker. And once we've done that, you can see that the milestone is displayed in our Gantt chart. And of course, afterwards, we could still reschedule it directly from the Gantt chart or again from the date picker on the left side. Once we've scheduled the different phases, tasks, and milestones, we can add dependencies. Simply right-click on any of the phases, tasks, or milestones and select either Add Predecessor or Add Follower from the menu. And typically we could either start from the first phase and then add all the succeeding elements, or instead we could also start from the final milestone and add all the preceding tasks to it. Now, once we add the relationships, you can initially see that the blue lines indicate that kind of dependency. In addition to that, we can also reschedule, of course, any of those tasks. And if we do that, all the following tasks will be automatically updated based on the dependency. If you have long-running projects, you may want to zoom out, for example, to display multiple months, weeks, until multiple years. Alternatively, you can also zoom in to display individual days. To save our view that we just created, we can select the Settings menu and select the Save or Save As option. Now we can provide a name. Let's say, for example, this is our project plan, and we can share it with other users by selecting the Public option. Public means in this context that this view is shared with other project members. If we don't select this option, this view will only be visible for ourselves. In addition to that, you can also favor a view, and the favored view is always displayed very prominently on the top left side. Now, once we save this view, you can see that the name of the view is actually displayed here on top, and the view has been added to the side menu. Whenever you create a new project, there are several default views which are automatically added. For instance, you can get a quick overview of the tasks created by you or the tasks which have the latest activities. And to switch back to our default view or to our view that we created before, we would simply select our view from the side menu. Now, once we have created our project schedule in the Gantt chart, we can continue by assigning the different tasks to the different project members. You have the assignee column here and can simply click on the dash here to either add a single user or to add an entire group. And whenever we assign either a group or an individual user, the user or the members of the group will be notified by email that they have been assigned, and the email also contains a link that the users can use to switch over to OpenProject and to start working on that task. Once we've made the assignment, we can switch back to the table view and activate the split view or the details view. This provides additional information about each of the different tasks, milestones, and phases which we created before. And now we can start by actually defining the different steps we need to take in order to complete the different work packages. Let's take a look at the creation of the prototype. You have a description field on the right side, and by clicking on it, you can add a description which typically would include the different steps we need to take in order to complete this phase. Just above the description field, you have some formatting options which you can use to format or style your text. For example, we may want to start out by creating a draft for our prototype, and then we may want to continue by collecting feedback. You can also add images directly to the description. In our case, for example, we may want to add a wireframe. To do that, we can select Insert Image and then simply select an image, click on Open, and it will be added to the description. Now, at a later stage, once we have accomplished any of the steps, we can simply select the checkbox to show that we completed that particular step. Let's save the description and let's start working on this phase. To do that, we can update the status on the top left side from new to in progress. Updating the status will also be reflected in the table view on the left side. Of course, you can customize and create your own status transitions here and then set your own workflow. We already set an assignee for our work package. In addition to that, you can also set an accountable. And the accountable or responsible person is typically the person who is accountable for the completion of the task. However, this person does not necessarily have to work on the task. That would be the assignee. And typically, the assignee may change during the lifetime of a certain work package, while the accountable typically stays the same. You also have the option to provide an effort estimate in time. You would simply enter the amount of hours you estimate it will take to complete this phase. And at a later stage, we can also track time directly on this task. Now, if we take a look here at the bottom, you can see that we can add additional files directly to this work package. And Just below that, we have the latest activity section. Here you can see all the latest changes which have been performed on this work package. So whenever we make a change to a work package, it will be tracked here at the bottom. Just below that, we have a comment area where we can add a comment and, for example, also reference other users. As an example, if I'm working on this particular phase, I may want to reference any of the other project members by simply selecting them from the menu and then entering a message. Let's say, for example, I would like to receive some feedback. Once I save this, you can see that the user is tagged here, is referenced here, and in the background an email notification will be sent to that user. If there are some users who should be notified about the changes of the work packages without being directly involved, you would add those users as watchers to your work package. If we select the Watchers tab, we can simply select any of the project members as a watcher, and a watcher will receive an email whenever a change has been made to this particular work package. If you're working on a small display, you may want to increase the size of this work packages area here. To do that, you can select this icon here, the full screen icon on the top right side. This is going to hide the table view on the left side and display the work package in a full screen view. By clicking on the arrow icon on the top left side, you can always switch back to the previous view. Once we've finished working on this phase, we can update the status again and change it to closed. If you take a look here on the work package in the table view, you can see that the status is updated and that the work package is hidden automatically. The reason is that we have a filter which is applied, and by default we are filtering based on all the open work packages, meaning all the tasks we still have to work on. But of course we can adjust the status and change it, for example, from open to closed. And this will only display the tasks which have already been completed. Especially if you have a large project, you may want to filter based on other attributes. For example, you could filter based on the assignee and only display the tasks assigned to a certain user. And again, you can always save this view by selecting the setting option and selecting the save option. If you want to notify any external user about the current state of the project, you can also export the current project plan by selecting the export option from the settings menu. You can export this view, for example, as a PDF document or as an Excel spreadsheet. And by continuing to work this way, we would work through all the different tasks until we completed them one after another. Another part of project management which is quite important is of course the ability to keep track of the budget and to make sure that we stay within the budgetary constraints. And to do that, we can head over to the budgets section and create a new budget. Simply enter the name of the budget. For instance, we could create a new budget for the second quarter of 2020. You can optionally provide a description, and below here in the planned unit cost and planned labor cost section, you can then select a cost type. For example, we may want to add a server here for our website, and then we would simply select the amount of units. So let's say we have 15 servers that we want to use, and this will automatically update the planned cost based on the unit cost rate which we specified before when we actually defined that cost type. And of course, you can also create or add your own cost types. In addition to that, you can also keep track of the labor cost. To do that, simply select the user and specify how many hours a user should be working on that project. And once you do so, you can see that the planned cost is also updated automatically. Once we click on Create, the budget is created and we see the details view. The detailed view provides an overview of the planned cost, subdivided into the planned unit cost and the planned labor cost. And on the right side, we can see the actual cost, both the actual unit cost and the actual labor cost. Once we created our budget, we can head back to the work packages view and select our project plan that we created previously. Now, in the project plan view, we can add an additional column, again by clicking on the gear icon here, and adding the budget view. So let's add the budget column and click on Apply. And now you can simply assign each of the different work packages to the appropriate budget, which in our case would be Q2 2020. Whenever you want to update multiple work packages at once, for example, if you want to assign those 3 work packages to the budget we just created, we can select those tasks and then either click on the 3 dots here or right click and select bulk edit. On the top you can see the work packages which we just selected, and now we can change any of the attributes. In our case, we want to update the budget and assign all 3 work packages to our budget. Let's click on Submit, and this is going to assign those work packages to our budget. Now, once we assigned those different tasks to our budget, we can open the Details view and click on the More button here. The More button allows us to either keep track of the time or log our unit cost. So if I work on this task, I would select Log Time and then simply select the amount of hours I've been working on this task. Let's say, for example, I've been working for 4 hours. You can further specify which activity you have performed by selecting the appropriate option from the activity menu. Finally, click on Save to save this option. In a similar way, we can also keep track of the unit cost by again selecting More and then Log Unit Cost. Now we would select the cost type, for example our server, and specify the amount of units. And based on that, the cost is updated. Let's click on Save to actually track that unit cost. Now on the detailed view of the work package, we can see the cost section, which displays labor cost as well as unit cost, and of course the overall cost, which is simply the sum of those 2 positions. If we head back to our budget view, we can take a look at the planned budget, which we set before, as well as the spent amount and the available amount. And here on the right side, you can see which percentage of the budget has already been used. So in our case, we already used 20% of the budget. And to get a closer look, we would simply click on the name of the budget, which again displays the details view and actually shows the unit cost and labor cost on the right side, along with the work package where we tracked the time or cost. So budgets are very helpful to get an overview of the cost in your project and to make sure that you stay within the constraints of your budget. When you work on a project, you may also be interested in working in an agile way. And to do that, we can head over to the project settings, select modules, and then select boards to activate a Kanban board. If you click on Save, the boards option will be added to the side menu. And you can simply create a new Kanban board by specifying or clicking on the button plus board and then either selecting the basic board or the action board. The basic board lets you freely configure the name of the different columns that you're adding, but it has no additional capability except for displaying that information and assigning the tasks to the appropriate column. The action board is more powerful. In fact, in the action board, we would always map the different columns to a specific attribute. In most cases, we would use the status attribute. So if we click on plus action board, we are going to create a new action board and can of course assign a name to it. Let's just call it Kanban board. And as you can see, the default status column new is automatically added to this view. Now we can simply add additional lists by selecting Add List and then selecting any of the status. So for example, we may want to add the In Progress column as an additional column in here, and then finally status closed, which displays all the tasks which have already been completed. Now, as you can see, there are already some work packages added to this view. And those are precisely the same work packages which we created previously on the work packages view. And now from the Kanban board view, you can simply select any of those tasks and just drag and drop them over to the appropriate column. And once you do that, you can double click on that task to see that the status has indeed been updated. By clicking on the arrow on the top left side, we can easily switch back to that view. And this provides a very easy way to update the status of the different tasks and to work in a very easy visual way. Of course, you can also create new tasks directly from the Kanban board view by clicking on the plus icon here and then simply adding the name of the task. Let's say, for example, once we created our website and published it, we want to create a marketing campaign. So we would simply enter this as a task and create it. Now, when we create this task, we can also switch back to the work packages view, and we can see that the creation of the marketing team is also displayed here. And then, of course, we could switch over to the project plan that we created before and simply schedule our marketing campaign in our Gantt chart. So if you want to work in a hybrid way with OpenProject, you can very easily switch between the work packages view and the boards view. For example, the project admin, the project leader, may want to schedule the project in the project plan, and the project team itself may then switch over to the boards view to actually start working on the different tasks from the boards view. Once you finished working on the project, you can head back to the project settings and select Archive Project. This is going to close the project so that the project is no longer accessible, but of course all the data that you created still exists. So if I select this option, you can see that our project is no longer displayed in the project list. If you want to see it again, we would have to switch over to the View All Projects view, which displays all projects which are currently active. And if we activate the filter on the top right side, we can then adjust the filter to display the inactive projects, which displays the archived projects here. Now here we see our project, and to unarchive it again, we can click on the three dots on the right side and select the unarchive option. Now once we've done that, you can see that our project is again displayed in the project list, and we could switch back to it to continue working on the project or to access any information that we created in the project itself. Now, maybe you want to get an overview not only of a single project, but of multiple projects. To do that, simply select the modules option on the top right side and then select the work packages option. And this is going to display all the different tasks across all the various projects. Now we can group the work packages based on the project they belong to by clicking on the project column and selecting the group by option. And of course, from here, we can also activate the Gantt chart. And now we can see for the different projects that we created, we can see all the different tasks, phases, and milestones. And we could also create dependencies across project lines. And typically, what's quite helpful, especially for project admins, is the following. You can add a filter to this view. And for instance, we can filter based on the type and then display, let's say, only the main milestones in the various projects. And this provides an overview of all the different projects and only highlights the main milestones. So we can see right away if any of our projects is delayed, if we maybe need to make adjustments to our project schedule. Now to save this view, we again can select the settings button on the top right side, choose the save option, and then provide a name. Let's say, for example, this is our milestone overview, and we can, of course, select public and click on save. And this is going to add this public view to the side menu. In the future, we can very easily access the view from this option here. Now, if you have any further questions about OpenProject, you can always click on the Help menu within OpenProject and either select Videos, Introduction video, or directly access our user guides, which provides an overview of the different capabilities of OpenProject.